How can we best measure the capacity of our schools for sustainable development? Can we assess the quality of an educational institution based solely on measures such as student academic performance, campus facilities, teacher-to-student ratio, or the reputation of its management? Or is there more to it? Most governments, societies, and public organisations measure school performance on the basis of standardised performance indicators. But can these truly reflect any educational institution's capacity or potential for sustainable development? The Education University of Hong Kong has developed an innovative approach for facilitating school development and evaluation. It emphasises measuring intellectual capital, IC, to manage both intangible and tangible assets and improve responsiveness and ability to adjust to an increasingly competitive environment. This project aims to help schools measure and report their intellectual capital, or IC, for strategic planning. It focuses on designing an assessment survey that examines 3 categories of IC. They are human capital, structural capital, and relational capital. Human capital includes the competence of employees and their knowledge, skills, experiences, and abilities. It is a central component of intellectual capital. The human capital of schools is conceptualised primarily as the leadership skill of school management and the teaching competency of teachers, both of which directly affect teaching improvement. Structural capital refers to the non-human storehouses of knowledge in a school, such as organisational structures and routines. It embraces organisational culture and management philosophy, which provide a framework to guide and interpret actions in the school. In terms of school development, structural capital reinforces human capital. Relational capital includes the school's external relationships, reputation, and brand. External capital, especially that which comes from external stakeholders such as parents, is a key factor. These stakeholders support the school's efforts by supplying pupils, helping with homework, fundraising, acting as unpaid assistants, and generally providing two-way communication between school and home. How can we help stakeholders measure and report their IC? The university can help train school management on the concept of IC and its methodology. It then helps facilitate them in designing and selecting the IC that reflects the school's plans. After that, we guide them in conducting an IC audit and reviewing the IC report. Based on this report, the project team helps schools devise, deploy, and create further IC strategies for school development. Once these strategies have been in effect for a given period, the team helps the school conduct another IC audit to review the changes in the institution and provides constructive feedback. Measuring and reporting school IC is not unduly complicated. First, key stakeholders are invited to select, as IC indicators, up to 15 elements considered important to school development. They then rate the importance and present performance of these identified elements within their school by giving scores from 1 to 10. The most important elements may receive a score of 10. The least important may receive a score of 1. Different elements can be given the same score. The percentage of each element of the IC tree is found by dividing the individual mark by the total mark. In this example, where 7.3 is the individual mark and 96 is the total mark, the percentage for teaching skill of teachers is 7.3 divided by 96 times 100%, or 7.5%. In terms of the overall distribution of intellectual capital, the proportion of human capital is 36%. Structural capital is 32%, and relational capital is 32%. This suggests that in terms of school development, the tacit knowledge of teachers here is assessed as more important than the explicit knowledge embedded in the school culture, policy, and routines. This graph shows the gap analysis for the IC elements. In this graph example, for all items, the mean score for weighting of importance is higher than that of present performance. The largest gap is in teachers' sense of belonging. The smallest gap is in modifying the teaching strategies of teachers. That means that the school should prioritise an initiative to enhance the sense of belonging of its teachers. This visual representation of the 4 quadrants reveals the relative strength and weakness of specific intellectual capital elements. Important and well-performing IC elements are in the top right quadrant. In formulating the school's strategic development plan, the school deployed these IC elements to strengthen the instructional design and development of the school-based curriculum. The IC management approach enables school leaders to improve the key performance measures of the quality assurance mechanism and supports them in formulating a school plan for sustainable development.